Hello and welcome to Grammar Bites. In this lesson, we will learn about the past perfect simple. Before we talk about the past perfect simple, it might be a good idea to revise two tenses we already know about, past simple and present perfect. We use the present perfect simple to talk about life experiences in general or the recent events that have just happened. In this tense, we use have or has for he, she, it, and the participle form of the verb, that is, verb 3. Now, the past perfect simple tense is used to order the past events and to show which happened first. We use had plus past participle form of the verb or verb 3. Let's see some examples. Mary left home 2 hours ago. Jim has never played the guitar in his life. They had left home before the postman arrived. Before we learned about the past perfect simple, remember that we used the past simple to put past events in order. Let's see some examples. I woke up at 7 a.m. The alarm clock went off at 7:15. To put these past events in order, we usually use time sequencers, such as first, then, after that, later, and so on. So we may rephrase these sentences like that. First, I woke up, then the alarm clock went off. Although past simple tense and time sequencers are enough to put past events in order, we can also use the past perfect simple. Look at these sentences. I had woken up when the alarm clock went off. I had woken up before the alarm clock went off. I had woken up by the time the alarm clock went off. What we can understand from the examples is that we use had plus verb 3 to form past perfect sentences and to show the first action. We usually use the past simple sentences with a time linker and another event in the past simple. There are a few time expressions we can use in the past perfect simple. When is one of them. Let's see an example. She finished cleaning the house, then she fell asleep. It is important to understand the order of the events when building sentences in the past perfect simple. Here, finished cleaning is the first action and fell asleep is the second action. When we rewrite these sentences, we will write when instead of then, and we will combine these sentences. And we will say, she had finished cleaning when she fell asleep. We can also start the sentence with when, but we should follow with a comma. When she fell asleep, she had finished cleaning. Let's see another example. When she went to bed with a cup of tea, she had taken a bath. This sentence is the first action because we used past perfect simple here. This one is the second action. So, when we want to rewrite this sentence, we will write then instead of then, and we will start with the first action. We will say, first she took a bath, then she went to bed with a cup of tea. By the time is another time expression that we can use with a very similar meaning to when. It means as of that moment or starting from that moment. Let's see it in an example. The guests started eating. I arrived later. We understand that first guests started eating and my arrival is the second action. Here, instead of later, we can write when or by the time, and we can combine these sentences using the past perfect simple. We can say, the guests had started eating by the time I arrived. We can start the sentence with by the time clause, followed with a comma. By the time I arrived, the guests had started eating. Here is another example. They had left the class by the time the school bell rang. Because there is the past perfect simple here, this is the first action. And this is the second action. When we want to rewrite this sentence, we will write then or later instead of by the time, and we will start with the first action. We will say, first they left the classroom, the school bell rang later. Before and after are other time expressions that we can use in the past perfect simple. They are a bit tricky, so we should be extra careful. Let's see an example first. First, they swam in the ocean. After that, they had a picnic. Here, we know that this is the first action because it starts with first. And this is the second action. When we want to rewrite this sentence using the past perfect simple, we should write before instead of after that. And this is the tricky part. We will use the past perfect simple in the first action. We will say, they had swum in the ocean before they had a picnic. We can also start with before. We can say, before they had a picnic, they had swum in the ocean. Don't forget to use a comma when you start with before. Let's see another example. Before she went out, the rain had started. Here, we have a past perfect simple form. We know that this is the first action because of that. And this is the second action. Remember that we should write after that or after instead of before. So we will say, first the rain started, after that she went out. We can use after in the past perfect simple sentences. Let's see an example. First, he ate lunch at the restaurant. After that, he paid for it. Here, eating lunch is the first action, and paying for it is the second action. When we want to rewrite this sentence, we will write after instead of first, and this is the tricky part. Remember that we can rewrite this sentence only using by past simple tense. We would say, after he ate lunch at the restaurant, he paid for it. We can also use past perfect simple tense for the first action. For example, we can say, after he had eaten lunch at the restaurant, he paid for it. We can also begin with the subject. He paid for it after he had eaten lunch at that restaurant. Here is another example. After they had discussed the matter for an hour, they reached an agreement. Here we see a sentence with the past perfect simple. That is why we know that this is the first action. And this is the second action. When we want to rewrite this sentence by only using the past simple tense, we should write first instead of after, and this will be the first action. We will say, first they discussed the matter for an hour, then they reached an agreement. The past perfect simple is often used after thinking verbs such as remember, notice, realize, and so on. Let's see some examples. I was at the exam venue when I remembered I had left my ID at home. The moment Tom saw her, he noticed she had lost a lot of weight. After I quit smoking, I realized I had spent too much money on this bad habit. Here are some grammar reminders about the past perfect simple. We can use the contracted form the instead of had. I'd finished my homework when I went out. can use had not or hadn't to make negative sentences. We hadn't seen such a pretty baby before you were born. We can start with had to make yes/no questions. Had you given her the keys before you left home? We should use a suitable WH word to make WH questions. How many banks had he robbed by the time he got arrested? We can use already to give emphasis. She had already gone to sleep when I called. Over to you. There is a link below for practice. Have a good day.